Hello, beautiful listeners and viewers. Welcome to the Dandelion Reflections with our dear Caroline. Hello,
And
Caroline.
hi, Christoph. Hi.
Hi.
Hi, dear you and dear listeners.
Yeah, and welcome to episode number 16. And I think that of every episode actually, but I think today's episode is again a very special one because we will be talking about what it means to live every day as it was our last. Oh,
Yes.
here's a deep one,
Mhm.
Caroline.
Yeah.
Any thoughts right from the get-go?
Yes. A lot of people are afraid to talk about death or think about death. However, once we befriend the idea of death, that means we're able to live more fully. So that actually changes how we approach life, really, because death is part of life. It's inevitable. It's actually the only certainty we have on this planet. We know we're going to die someday. Everything else, it's uncertain. We don't know the duration of our relationship. We don't know whether we're going to have a job tomorrow. We don't know, are our bodies going to get sick the next time. We can't predict other people's reactions, etc., what emotion we will have in a specific situation, but we know for sure we're going to die.
Mhm.
So why not embrace that and free our mind from that battle that's actually futile about, like, oh, I'm going to push away that idea, I'm not going to die, I'm eternal. Once we get rid of that, we actually free up some space to live fully and really do what really matters to us.
So fear plays a huge role in our decision making, right? So what I
Yeah.
take away from what you just said is that this fear, we push it away. We know it is there, it is there. We know it's coming inevitably, but still we don't really live as if it was our last day at
Mm-mm.
all.
No, because fear is the opposite of love. And
Fear is the opposite of love. I love that.
yeah, so if you live in fear, there's no room for love. And however, people generally, when they are on their deathbed or they know they're going to die, they want to fill their lives with as much love as possible, be close to their loved ones, express their love. So why not live like that every day if we can?
Yes. And I think there are many, or at least I've read it many times, about actual questions uh, or thoughts that people have on their deathbeds about
Mm,
what they regret most.
yeah.
And let me see if I can recall. I think at least one of the top answers was that they didn't uh, tell people that they loved them
Mm,
enough or at all.
yeah.
I'm not sure. I don't have the that list at hand right now, but that's a big thing, right? That
Yes.
we often regret.
Yes. Not expressing enough that love.
Hmm.
And also, I think one of those regrets, from what I've heard, is not having spent enough time with loved ones, not
Hmm.
enough quality time, and focusing on other things like work or, um, which is important, right, for our livelihood and to provide for our families. But sometimes there's an imbalance, and yeah, people reevaluate that at the end of their life. And yes, um, maybe I would imagine wasting time in arguments. That would be a big regret I would have if
Oh yeah, really.
I, yeah,
Hmm.
if I just focused on the ego. And so, yeah. So really, it's about love. It's about connections, I think.
I would like to remember a former work colleague of mine.
Mhm.
Um, I've worked with him over actually a long time, some years, and at that time, my children were very young, and uh, and we talked often about uh, life at home. And so he was older than I was at that time, and
Mhm.
so he let me know about his regrets.
Mm.
He spent so much time working,
Mhm.
thinking that it was that his family wanted money. Um, and so he often worked even on weekends. And so he regretted that. Now his children had children of their own. And
Mhm.
so he was looking so much forward to his retirement, which was only a few months away at that time.
Mhm.
Um, because then he wanted to spend time with
Mhm.
both his kids and his grandkids. And he was so happy when he finally went into retirement. And I think 4 months later, he was dead.
Um,
And this is one of many, in fact, warning signs for me, for myself,
Mhm.
um, and that formed me and my how I would li love to live, right? And this is why living every day as it was our last this way of thinking, way of living became so much more important for me. And so, so Caroline, what would you do
Mhm.
if you knew this was your
Yeah,
last day?
right. I would really focus on listening to my own intuition and my heart's desires. And if I think about someone, I would call that person to express appreciation. I would continue to nurture myself, to eat well, to be responsible. Because when we know we're going to die, it doesn't mean we have to do crazy things. We still need to be responsible.
Hmm.
In what state are we leaving the planet? And it's interesting because recently I had a symptom that really made me uncomfortable. And I thought, okay, is that it? Am I going to drop dead?
Oh,
It was
mm,
very eye opening because I thought, well, what is it that comes to mind immediately? What are my worries? And these are the things
hmm,
I need to attend to and the things that are within my control to be at peace. You know, it's like, okay, if I depart, then I will have done all in my power to put things in order, so to speak.
hmm,
While at the same time having joy, you know, like yesterday, an example, out of the blue, a friend invited me to an event in the evening, and it was a little far, but it was so fun. It was an Irish, like St. Patrick's Day party, and there was music, and there was so much fun entertainment, and people were pleasant. So it's really about seizing the day, or carpe diem, like in
hmm,
Latin, saisir le jour, take the opportunity, see what life offers and how it unfolds, and being open and receptive. To me, that's also a way to live every day as if it were the last, is to be attentive and open and not overly focused on the things I can't control, things that cause me misery or suffering. And really, it's about a balance because, yeah, we can't pack in that last day everything that we care
hmm.
about, right? But is that last day representative of who we are as a person? And you said something really profound before we recorded today. And I don't know if you remember, but I think that's also a good framework to use.
Yes, I think I mentioned the thought how we want to be remembered when
Correct.
we actually leave this life.
Yes. Yes, because would be these elements answering that question would represent our core values.
Mm.
What we really believe is true about ourselves. What is our truth? So, yeah. So, how would you like to remember that day, and how would you like others to remember you in that day and in your life? And I think it's a very useful guiding principle.
You packed so much into this answer, and I love it. And it is very um, important to actually think about it sometimes, how we want to be remembered, because there's so many um, so many points there. Our relationships, not only to others but also to ourselves. Are we forgiving ourselves for the stupid things we've done, or what we have not done, things we regret? Um, I'm sure there's a long list for each and every one of us
Mm-hmm.
uh, that we cannot take with us, right,
Yeah.
into the next life. Why not let it go?
Yeah.
Becoming aware each and every day of our own qualities, but also shortcomings, and
Mm-hmm.
accept them the way they are, accept ourselves the way we are, and accept others the way they are, and even
Yeah.
let go of the need to change others or situations.
Exactly.
So if I look back on our episodes that we've recorded, oh wow,
Yeah.
I remember we talked about many things that we could put into such a day that could be our last, right?
I agree. Yes, for sure. Learning to detach, declutter. Um, wow, there was so much.
Mm.
Letting go of the ego, living with intention.
Yeah, let's look at that a little,
Yeah.
living with intention, because our intention to live might actually change a lot um,
Right.
in face of
Hmm.
knowing that this is the last day.
Right. Yeah. That would mean paying attention to every decision and making it a quality choice, something that does not destroy, something that does not create more suffering.
Hmm.
So that's what living with intention is, and doing good as a result, maybe
Hmm.
at least not harming others. So doing something, living each moment, making each decision as if it had a ripple effect, as if everyone else was doing the same at the same time. You know.
Hmm.
So it.
So yeah, so thinking and really becoming aware of how I want to be remembered, and living intentionally.
Mhm.
Is that the same thing, or is that just two
Mhm.
sides of the same coin?
Yeah, I think it's living with intention would be a derivative of what you said about how do I want to be remembered, right? Because
Mm,
then we focus on that. Like everything we do is kind of recorded in a way in our loved ones' minds or people who know us. So basically, we want to watch well, not to the point of self restraint or extreme self oppression, but really like pausing at each moment and wondering, is this aligned with me, with my truth, what I'm about to do or say or
yeah.
choose? So,
What are my values anyway?
right, exactly. Yes. So, once we live every single day aligned with our values, then we can say we have lived. We are accomplishing our mission on this earth.
So, which reminds me again of the regret part.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah.
Th
Yeah. Go ahead.
Sorry, no, you go ahead.
Yeah. So, what would you tell someone who have regrets? What would be your words of wisdom to a person expressing regrets at the end of their life?
Not having lived, trying to control. I'm taking this from my own head right now.
Mhm.
Uh, Not having lived after dreams, not
Mm,
um, having tried to control things that are not mine to control.
mhm,
That's a big one for me personally, actually.
mm,
And there's also a bucket of regret there. But
mm,
again,
mhm.
I need to let go of that too because it's
Right.
done. I can't change the
Yeah.
past
Hmm.
and just only learn it. You learn from it.
Yeah. So, how about letting go of the regrets as part of living with intention, right?
Yeah,
And
exactly.
yes. So, and I think you really named things that are universal that a lot
Hmm.
of people would experience. I think also regrets are inevitable, and we just need to know that it's universal. That because we did the best we could at the time, and we've learned from that. So, the fact that
Hmm.
we actually can experience some level of regret shows that we have evolved, but
Hmm.
dwelling to it is not going to be helpful. But just acknowledging like, that was not ideal, but having that self-compassion, I think, is part of the living with intention.
Yes.
Yeah.
Um, you just mentioned something, but then now it fell out of my head. Um, Learning. I think you mentioned learning or
Yeah.
evolving. Um, when I was even younger than I am now, I have heard of this idea of living every day as if it was our last day, and I
Okay.
thought, okay, that means you know YOLO. You only live once, and just party and
Hmm.
crash and whatever. No, that's not it. That's
Hmm.
that's
Yeah.
something completely different. So,
Hmm.
so there's an evolution, as you mentioned. We may need to wait until we are finally um, ready to understand what this means, actually.
Hmm.
And it's an evolution, as you said, and
Yeah.
we might not be ready yet to fully understand and
Hmm.
misunderstand or intentionally even um, make something different out of it because we just right now think this is more what I want to have right now. Just not thinking of the deeper
Yeah.
meaning of it.
Yeah, I think your example, Christopher, is so relatable. Like, yeah, I'm going to party, just focusing on the joy, the lightness of life, which is
Hmm.
fine to have in the right amount, in the right context. We all need that. There's nothing wrong with celebrating. However, if we realize after a while that it's not sustainable, well, we end up not dying. Was not our last day. But if we keep repeating it, then that's not going to work, right? So, like
Right.
I said, all about responsibility. So how can we take responsibility for our life, living as if it were the last? Yes, in the sense of appreciating everything,
Oh. Hmm.
gratitude, but at the same time, living as if there would be a tomorrow that we need to be responsible for and be accountable for. So yeah, and I think also when we do these things, we focus on the pleasure or Epicurean elements of life it could also be an escape. So we're
Hmm.
not really, it doesn't mean we're looking at our truth that we want to
Yes.
express every single day. We're, it's another way to numb ourselves, and we all do that, right? It's like we're not going to think about the inevitability of death. We're just
Mm.
going to party. We're just going to laugh and but not look at the flip side of life too, because
Hmm.
in that last day there will be some sadness and grief also, right? That makes us human.
Right. Exactly. Um, Another thing that I remember hearing is another abbreviation, uh, JFDI, just freaking do it.
I love that. Okay, yes, yes, yes. Yeah,
And this could be worked into the idea of this could be my last day too, right? Not
right.
waiting until, oh, the children are
Yeah.
grown and moved out or whatever,
Hmm.
but have happy
Yeah.
moments, create happy
Hmm.
moments today.
Exactly, I agree. Some people say, "Oh yeah, I'll start. I'll do this. I'll do that once this or that
Mm.
happens. Once I'm retired." Well, you don't know if you'll go that far in your life, right? And
Hmm.
what prevents you from doing it now? And why not now? If it's that important to you, why postponing that? So, I feel like people, it's like they kind of pack one single dimension in one part of their life and live their life in sequence of these
Hmm.
elements but or dimensions, but we have to eat every day, sleep every day, exercise, right? We can't say, well, I'm going to sleep that first third of my life, then the second third I'm not going to sleep at all because I don't want to miss out on anything, and then you know what I mean? So same, why work? Why do we say, well, we're going to work like crazy and then retire? I want to retire when I'm 50 and then just not do anything for 40 years because my life expectancy is probably 90 or whatever, So,
Hmm.
no, and it's not actually fulfilling. People have depression when they retire
Hmm.
completely from life. They don't have the inoculation of to stress that helps us stay alert. So it's all a balance. I wish I want to, my last day of my life, maybe I'll be working, but I don't want to be working like 12 hours in that day. You know what I mean? I want to have room for everything, for the whole span of human experience, if possible.
Hmm.
Connecting with the nature and loved ones and writing and, yes, working a little bit and eating good food or healthy food, but not keeping that, not just spreading that out. It's just having a small sample of the optimal conditions.
And there has been this fancy word, work-life balance, and
Yeah,
what about that? It has been
right.
going around for years, and did it
Yeah.
really do anything good?
I don't know. I feel like it's a concept that, again, we might be getting lost in.
Hmm.
And I think sometimes, and I love words, don't get me wrong. And we both know we like to write and blog and everything. But I feel like sometimes it just distracts us from the
Hmm.
actual doing. So, yeah, I don't want to drown in concepts here, but I realize that some people get annoyed by this expression because they say, well, work is part of my life. Why would I have to, balance work and life? Work is part of life. So then people start calling that work and personal life balance. And then, so
Haha.
see, and, but the balance is like, yeah, we should have, it's just looking at ourselves like we're a pie,
Hmm.
and there are multiple dimensions. And yeah, if work is like three-quarters of our identity, well, it's not well balanced. So how do we balance everything? And of course, there are dimensions that we're not totally aware of that we don't put in the pie immediately. But so it's not perfect, but the goal is to aim towards something harmonious and balanced. So, but that What does that look like will vary from person to person, most likely. But there are still fundamental needs that, and you would agree that people cannot neglect for very long, such as human connections and
Hmm.
um, the ability to have compassion for oneself and to self-reflect. To me, that's an important dimension. So if work becomes too demanding, that it's going to eat up my other areas in my life that are important. So, and ideally, and I don't know if we talked about the ikigai in
We've
this
mentioned
podcast,
it, yes. Hmm.
right? This Japanese concept of the purpose or life meaning and or goal, and it's at the intersection of doing what we love, what we're good at, what we can be paid for, and what the world needs.
Hmm.
And so I guess we would have this work-life balance when we're right at the ikigai, at the center, when we work every day, when we have a job, or ideally, so it wouldn't feel like we would need a balance, because if we love it, we feel energized by it, it helps the world, and then we can provide for our family because we're paid for it. Then
Right.
that problem is not really, it's not really a problem anymore. So really
Hmm.
aiming towards going to the center of the ikigai might help with what you're talking about, the balance. And I think that could be part of the frameworks, one of the frameworks to use when we wonder what is the last day going to be like, or how do we want it to be like? How do we want to live our last day? Well, if we're close to the ikigai, then it's not a problem.
I just noted down Ikigai. I have this urge to want to learn more about it now
Yes.
because it really sounds interesting
Mm-hmm.
and something that I would like to look
Yeah.
at. And there's so much out there that we can actually learn um, for
Mm-hmm.
ourselves to make our lives better.
Yeah.
And yet we shut ourselves down from so much input from the external life
Mm-hmm.
uh, and really think about it. What could this mean for me?
Mm-hmm.
How could what could I take away from this? Even even of the challenges, and challenges are not, problems that life doesn't want to make it hard for us. These are just challenges as okay, I can grow from this,
Mm-hmm.
and even if it is our last day, it still uh,
Mm-hmm.
challenges will happen, right?
Yeah.
And
Yes.
interestingly, now as I think about it, I'm sure we would not engage in these challenges as much or in a different way as we would if we thought, okay, life's just going on. We would try to control things. We would try to convince other people of that my way is right and no,
Mm-hmm.
you're wrong. And just completely forgetting all of our
Yeah.
basic values that we
Mm-hmm.
have been forgetting about for
Yeah.
much too long.
I think what you're saying is so true, because you see how we're programmed, right? And these are all external constraints, like having to be right, to
Hmm.
control. But if we lived from the inside out, it would be really like we would do what puts us in a state of joy. I think that would be the ideal way to live a last day. Because yeah, when we're in a state of joy, yeah, we still have to eat good food, take care of ourselves, make our bed, but
Hmm.
if I think that would be
Wait,
the
what? Make our bed? Wait a
so that's
minute. I'm sorry.
I know. I mean, as a teenager, I didn't care. I never made my bed, and now, and when I had kids, it's like I don't have time because, well, we go nap in the bed later or whatever. But now, even if I'm in a rush, I feel like it structures my day a little bit. So I'm not too rigid and obsessive about it. But I just like when I enter my room, it's like, okay, at least there's this sense of order here in this room.
Wonderful. Yeah. And
And it's
this,
welcoming. Yeah.
yes, exactly. And this shows again how individually it is, right?
Yes. Yes.
And this is also maybe a part of this this mindset that we look at ourselves, what makes me happy, and
Yes.
if it is if it
Hmm.
makes you happy to make someone else happy, like
Yeah.
okay, let me fix my bed for once so I can make I don't know my partner happy for once,
Uh-huh.
then
Yeah. Yes.
let's do that. And if you the next day, if it makes you happy to, just leave the bed and don't care about it for the whole
Hmm.
day,
Yeah.
okay.
Right.
And
Yeah. Absolutely. I love what you said. It's the flexibility. You want to have a gentle attention to someone else, but at the same time, you don't want to be self-tyrannical. And
exactly, yes.
it has to be providing good feelings. It
Hmm.
can't be a pressure. But for me, it's a good moment because it just I'm thinking, oh, I'm gonna be happy when I go under the blankets at night. I'm gonna be
Hmm.
warm and they're fuzzy. So it just puts me in a state of joy too, and
Hmm.
just some pillows and some bring some memories. So it's just everyone's different. Everyone does their own thing, and
Hmm.
for people, it's going to be like sitting at a specific place with their cup of coffee in the morning. For me, it's like I carry it all around. But having a little finding the sacred in the ordinary, whatever that
Hmm.
looks like for you, right? I think that's also part of the last day that we want to make memorable. And
Finding the sacred in every moment. That's
Mhm.
wonderful. That's
Yeah,
I think this is something we really can
yeah, yeah.
ponder about and think about a little more. What
Mm-hmm.
is it that I want to introduce into my life? What is it I want to make a
Yeah.
habit
Yes.
in my life?
And children, I'm sure you know, are good at that. And we were once that
Mhm.
child, right? So we just need to try to go back to that, to unlearn a little bit the adulting we've been in
Oh, yeah, really.
for too long.
That's so true.
Yeah,
Why
yeah.
not being a child a little more often?
Yes, yes,
And ask,
exactly.
I do ask one of my clients frequently about now, how would, let me just think of a name. Um, that is not my client's name. How would your 8-year-old Karen
Mm-hmm.
decide now?
Mm.
And just this letting ourselves be guided by our inner
Yeah,
child a little more often. I think
right,
that
right.
would actually do wonders in such a day that could be the last one
Yes.
for us.
Oh, true. Because children are close to their authentic nature.
Hmm.
And especially before teenage years, they don't really care about what other people's opinions are,
Hmm.
people's opinions of them. So they live really in a way that's aligned with their spontaneity and their authentic nature. So we should go back to that.
Let's explore another thought that just popped up in my head. Are children
Hmm.
closer to this idea of living every day as if it was the last day than we are? We
Yes,
we adults?
I believe so. I believe that we, as we get older, get programmed to fear and therefore just live not in the moment. But kids have no problem doing that. And look at parents dragging their kids, go, 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 we need to go there. And the
Yeah.
kids just noticing a butterfly and that they want to touch. And then they're
Uh-huh.
living in the moment, right? So
Right.
they don't care about the agenda. Don't have that notion of time being so limited and fragmented.
Hmm.
Just for them, every moment is full. And maybe that's how we need to approach life every day, like as if we were a child, as if it were our last day. And what would we do? Yeah.
You know what, Caroline? Your words now were just so beautiful. I think I I can't put anything more into it if I said anything more now. Let's just let that be our
Yeah.
ending, right?
You
I
want?
love that.
Sure. Yes.
Okay. So
Thank
thank
you.
you for being with us today. And if you would like to, then let us know what you would do if you knew that this was your last day in this life. Thank you
Good.
so much, Caroline.
I love this, Christopher. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Yes. See you next time. Bye
And
bye.
say bye.